What happens at a pre-construction meeting? Well, what happens actually is if you start doing these, you'll start installing work right the first time. And who doesn't want that? So stay with us for this cool outline. So what is the process for a good pre-construction meeting? How do you make it not boring? What key step will make this meeting remarkable? Well, first let's talk about the order. So we do not look at construction as individual tools. So like if you said, hey, I am a project engineer or superintendent or whatever the position is, and hey, I do RFIs. Or, if somebody's like, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Project Engineer, what do you do? Well, I write RFIs, I review submittals, I do subcontractor pay application approvals, right? So it's not wrong, but it's not right. You are not a tool doer or user. Your job, and I want you to hear me on this because this is remarkable. Okay, so I'm excited now. Like, your job is to oversee scopes of work and support our trade partners so they can plan, build, finish. Plan, build, finish. So that means that we're going to go through a process. And it just so happens that the pre-construction meeting is a key part of that process. So when you have bought out a trade partner, then you have what's called a pre-mobilization meeting. That's where you ask for the requirements, the list, the submittals, everything that they need, and you tell them the start date and you schedule your pre-construction meeting. The pre-construction meeting is to gather the information, hold the meeting, and educate and align with the superintendent and the foreman, and to leave with a visual that you can use to install quality in the field. Then you can do your initial inspection, follow-up inspections, and then your final, and do your zone control walks based on those quality expectations. I will link you to the other video in this series that talks about that overall process and the concept of quality, but right now we are zoning in on the pre-construction meeting itself. So step number one, you're going to gather the documents, and these are the requirements at a minimum. In the pre-construction meeting, you are going to have the updated set of plans, the updated set of specs, and those two need to be highlighted by either you or the trade partner, superintendent, and foreman, or both. And I will say that these meetings, you don't just show up to them. I remember when I was younger and I was an assistant superintendent at Hensel Phelps, they did a little training and study that said it typically takes about a day and a half to prepare for a really good pre-construction meeting. So somebody is going to have to come having read these and highlighted exactly what we're going to be discussing in the meetings. So come with the right information. The other thing is you will want by this time the approved submittals. You better, or else you're not going to have the materials on time. So you will want to review that, right? Any other pertinent information that's required for the work, maybe installation instructions. You're going to collect, like I said before, the safety manual and plan for the trade partner. You're going to collect the quality manual. You're going to collect any emergency contacts, any training certificates, anything that you and your company require. We want that collected and put together in one common location so that you can review it in the meeting. That's step one. Step number two, if you have the plans and specs highlighted already, not a big deal. You can simply go through the highlights. But if you haven't, do not let the meeting proceed unless you have read the plans and specs. That specifically goes to the superintendent and the foreman. So what I mean by this is you can either ask them to do it right then and there, or you can, because you've scheduled the meeting 3 weeks ahead of the work, say, hey, we need to do a little bit more prep. Let's cancel today and let's schedule this meeting in a week. That way you can be sure that you've done the amount of prep required so we can have a great meeting. So that way, if I schedule it 3 weeks in advance, I still have my 2-week backup. And then if they still don't come prepared, I'm just going to have to take the 15 minutes and study the plans and specs and get a mental frame, a mental context of the work that we're about to discuss. Because here's the issue. Here's the method. And I want to make this clear. You are going through the requirements for the owner and for the authority having jurisdiction as outlined in the plans and specs, and you're going to find all of the major issues that could happen, and you're going to discuss what you'll do about it and solve the problem by making sure that expectations are clear on your quality checklist or your quality feature of work board, which I'll talk about in a minute. Step number 3, if the owner is there, then you will ask, what is super important to you about this work? And they'll be like, yeah, just install the plans and specs. No. We're talking about flooring. What is the biggest thing that you all deal with? What is the biggest thing your maintenance team has to deal with? What is your biggest frustration with your other building? Oh, I can tell you that. Okay, it's when, ... and you get them talking. And then those requirements go into those checklists or that visual feature of work board. So that's key. Step number 3, ask your owner what they want. Step number 4, you're going to start to discuss some details here. So by this point, you should have not only the master schedule, but the actual work as shown in a pull plan as a part of the detailed sequence. And you should be able to pull up your zone maps, your logistics drawings, and any other pertinent information for how you're going to install this, even the model, and basically go through how are we going to install it. So it's not just what does a good install look like, but what does a good sequence of install look like, right? Like, for instance, if you're doing an exterior curtain wall or you're doing cladding or something that's super crucial, the sequence of installation when you're talking about waterproofing and flashing and cure times is pretty darn important. So that's why in these meetings we have to talk about those key items. How are you going to build it? Enable the team to visualize that so they can say, oh, no, before this flashing goes on, I need to ... right? And then you're like, oh, if we hadn't talked about the sequence, we wouldn't have gotten it right. So go through that overall plan. By the time that happens, you've read the plans, you've read the specs, you've asked what everybody wants. You know previous pitfalls. Actually, some of the best companies that do this the best is they'll have historical documents, checklists from before saying, hey, here are the normal pitfalls, right? Now you've gone through the actual sequence and the plan, how the builders are going to install it. You should now have a list of issues. So in your meeting, you're going to list these out, right? What are my issues? And so every time an issue comes up, that project manager or project engineer, write it on the board. Oh, there's an issue. Write it up just phonetically. So now you've got a list of issues. This is great. These are things that could possibly happen. And we're finding them before the work takes place. So now you do what Gino Wickman says in the book Traction, you IDS. Identify, discuss, and solve. Identify, discuss, and solve. So once you discuss it in the meeting with the experts, now you have a solution. Where does that solution go? I guess we just know. No. This was the best part. Your checklist or your visual, those solutions go on that for the crew to use later. That's the genius part. If I was doing, well, actually, we are starting a construction company, and so in our company, we will have live Canva files with all of these visual quality checklists on them with pictures. And so as we're going through the meeting, I'll just pull the picture, plop, put it right on there. Oh, there's another item, type it in. And so this document is auto-formatted. Well, we're manually putting it in, but it's formatting as we go so that by the time we're done with the meeting, it's like, nope, that's what we're doing, like this right here. And so also in reference to this is what we're doing right here, like these videos, this is what you and I are doing. This is what we're doing right now. Please like and subscribe to this video, like right now, real time, so that we can do this thing right here all the time together. So before we move on, I want to explain what a quality feature of work board actually is. So imagine 11 by 17 paper, and it has the title of the feature of work that you're discussing. Okay, and then on the actual sheet, and your company can format it however you want, on the actual sheet it says, okay, this is the goal of this installation. This is the how-to steps for the installation. Here are pictures right here on this visual showing what success looks like. Here are some key pitfalls, things that you do not do, things to look out for. And you can add other content onto it, but don't have too many words, make it impactful, bring out the stuff that people don't already know, and make it as visual as you possibly can. So what I'm saying is, with these 11 by 17 documents, or you can make them 8.5 by 11, whatever you want. Whenever you identify, discuss, and solve a potential issue that can happen in the quality install, that solution goes on to that checklist or that visual. Now, because it's being done real time, now the crew will have it with crystal clear expectations. And so the genius of this meeting is that at the end, you've IDS'd, identified, discussed, and solved all the issues. The solutions are now documented. Now the foreman and the crew can use it. Now all you have to do, like we said in another video, is actually use the visual in the field and inspect the work with the visual. That's all you have to do. It's amazing. And you can do that as a part of your zone control walks. In fact, on some projects and clients that we work with, they have a packet of these things or a link to all of them. And when the super is going around doing his or her zone control walks and saying, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Foreman, hey, how are you doing? They can just pull it up right on their iPad, boom, like right there. Or their checklist, or they have it on a little ring laminated in the field. Hey, let's look at, yep, okay, and finish the work as you go. This is remarkable. This is the way quality should have always been designed. And if you do it according to this process, you will install a quality product. And so when the foreman and supers leave, again, like I've said before, you say, hey, if I do this, will you be happy? Yeah, I'll be happy. Okay, well, I'm going to go do this. Expectations are clear, and now the foreman and the crew are committed to delivering it. And so the key to this whole step is, the pre-construction meeting was a waste of time if you don't have an output and if you don't use the darn thing. So once we have the darn thing, the expectations, use it in the field, inspect according to it, and deliver the product according to those expectations. That is the key. And so it's really a process. We don't run projects through chaos. We run them through standard processes. Remember, plan, build, finish. Plan that scope of work, build it right with that pre-construction meeting and those visuals, right? And then finish the work before you leave by inspecting it. This is how it's done. In the description below, I'm going to link you to the quality process in a beautiful outline that I love to use myself that really, really matters on project sites and delivers the results you want. So please go grab that document. You're going to love it, and I think you'll find it simple enough to where you can start doing it tomorrow. On we go.